I've been considering expanding my professional visibility through speaking engagements. What strategies would you recommend for securing these opportunities? So, first, I think speaking engagements are a great strategy for growing your visibility beyond your existing network. You get to piggyback off other people's audiences, which is a really good thing to do when you're trying to build your own. So, in your instance, you're in the maritime industry. What I'd recommend doing is reaching out to some industry bodies that represent the maritime industry. And a really easy way to find these is with ChatGPT. So you can jump onto ChatGPT and you can type in quite a simple prompt like, find me 20 business related industry associations in the maritime industry. And then you might follow it up with, prepare a simple list with the association's name, perhaps a one sentence description that's going to help you sort of work out if it's a good one for you or not, and their web address. So rather than having to Google it now and try to find them, you can easily do that sort of thing in AI where you can just type in a simple prompt and it'll give you a list of URLs and associations, just like that. So from there, you're probably going to want to shortlist it to say the most relevant 5 or 10 or something like that. Then spend a little time researching those associations. Have a look at the type of events that they already run. They're likely to have chapter events and annual conferences and that type of thing. When you're prioritizing the associations, have a look at associations that don't already have a lot of law firm sponsors because they're going to be a lot easier to start with. If you have time on your side, begin by attending a couple of chapter events and sort of get a feel for the association to begin with. That's really about making you more comfortable rather than a prerequisite for reaching out, but it might make you feel like, okay, you have a bit of a feel of what the association's about. If you don't have time, just cold outreach to them. So we'll talk about that in a moment. Before you go to cold outreach, you just want to find the right person to contact. So you're going to use LinkedIn for that. And I'd say for smaller associations, you'd be able to contact the president or the secretary directly. Given you're working in the industry, like the maritime industry already, you might be able to find an in with someone else and maybe they can make them an introduction. But for the purposes of this exercise, let's assume that you're going to have to just email them directly. So what you want to do in that email is make it easy for them to say yes. And what I mean by that is you want to help them reduce their workload, which is they are always looking for people to have speaking to their members. And how are you going to make them look good to their members? So what value can you bring that's going to provide value to their members? And I would say that most associations, not all, but most, are really looking for content all the time to provide value to their members. So let's have a look now at the email. In no more than sort of 5 or 6 sentences, this shouldn't be a long email, shouldn't be War and Peace. You want to cover the topic that you think will be relevant to their members. So what's the topic? Or you might suggest maybe 2 or 3 if you've got enough material, but start with a topic that you think will be relevant to their members. Explain how that topic's going to benefit their audience, or at least a subset of their audience. Something that associations will want to look for when bringing in speakers is the kind of why now. Why is that important now? So if you in your email, can you kind of identify if you have a topic idea, why is that important to address now? If you have a link to something you've already published on the topic, you might want to include that in the email as well. That just gives them a bit more background as to what that topic's going to be about. If it makes sense to do so, give them a proposed format. So whether it's like a 30-minute webinar or a 15-minute slot at a conference, maybe it's speaking at the next chapter event, whatever it is, if you can propose a format for them, that's going to really help. And then simply just ask them for a quick discussion about whether that would be useful for their members. So that's the email that you're going to send out to the association organisers. Unlike sort of doing like a sales outreach, which really feels uncomfortable and stuff, this usually gets like a really good return rate. I would be expecting sort of 1 in every 3 or 4, you would get some sort of response from someone, and it's usually positive. I also thought I might just share a couple of advanced tips. Conference organisers, associations love hiring people that have a book. I know I'm just dropping in like a book like it's this really easy thing to do, but they do love a book. You might also have a speaking reel. So it'd be like a 1 or 2 minute video of you speaking at different conferences. Not essential for this process, but if you're doing a lot of speaking, that can sort of help get some of those like larger gigs, we might call them. And I thought I'd also share a few quick ideas for getting inbound inquiries. So rather than having to reach out to people to get speaking engagements, just some things where people might be able to find you online. So I thought the first thing that would help would be just create a new speaker page on your website. So it's just a page on your website that sort of might come off your profile. You're at a pretty large law firm, so they might be tricky. So you might just create a separate site altogether, just like a one-page site just for your speaking engagements. You'd want to optimize that page title for SEO. So in the page title, you might have something like maritime industry lawyer and conference speaker. So kind of something that kind of shows, the industry, and you also do speaking. You have links to your logo and your headshots. Includes some information about your most common topics, like a paragraph or so on each of the topics that you cover. And that would be it. So to wrap that up, the best approach to get started on getting more speaking engagements, I think, at least to begin with, is outreach. As I said, it's nothing like doing cold outreach to selling something. In this instance, you're not asking necessarily for something, you're offering value. And I think you'll see some really good results from doing this.